All right, everybody, welcome to our live show here for the week of May 24th, 2020. I am, of course, Josh Placer, and join me as always, my co host, indie developer Shark. And how's everything going with you?
I'm doing great. By the way, you have a Raid Shadow Legends ad playing right now. They really like you right now.
Oh, perfect. And these have just started to kill me the second I hit live, so that's perfect as well. Maybe I'm allergic
uh
to Raid Shadow Legends.
Yeah, you probably are. I know I am. I'm completely. I break out in hives. Anytime somebody says Raid Shadow Legends, ugh, they're winning a bunch of hives right there.
But we got another week of game design and industry topics lined up. In terms of things that's going on, I'm right now just waiting at long last to get the contract for book number 3 signed. And actually, I have some presentations lined up virtually in next month. So it's going to be my summer, of course, is going to be my busiest time as always.
Yeah, it's good to be busy sometimes
Mm-hmm.
until you get too busy, and then it's not good anymore.
Mm-hmm. And as a bit of a milestone, we have hit 6,000 subscribers on the channel. So, thank you everybody for enjoying the content here. And we are now just 4,000 away from YouTube's next milestone of 10K. Maybe we'll hit it by the end of the year. Maybe we'll get into some controversy and we'll just shoot past and hit like 20,000, right?
Oh, we'll hit 10K off of this video alone.
We
This
shall
live stream.
see. Let's see. Not much going on with games play. I mean, I still have tons and tons of them to go through. But I guess have you had a chance to play anything new or exciting?
Exciting, yes. I've been playing some Monster Train. Not as much as you have, because you've been playing the heck out of it. I haven't had much time to play it, but I've definitely been enjoying it. Um, I'm finding myself harder to find the groove in the release version than the old version. I don't know if it's because I played the old version so much or what,
Mm-hmm.
but it could also be that I'm trying to avoid playing the two classes that I'm most familiar with, which definitely could have an impact on that.
Mm-hmm.
Also been playing some Nimbodists and liking that. Um, see here, what else have I been playing?
Let's see.
Not too much because I've just been really busy lately.
And I know what that's about. And there's still the Epic Games Store sale going on, so now I own both Civ 6 and Grand Theft Auto 5. I don't know when I'll ever get the chance to play either of them.
Yeah. Well, what about the combination, the Civ Theft Auto?
Someone needs to make that one, right?
Yeah. The city management slash robbery of the city at the same time.
There's a
That's
very loud bird in my window right now.
Now that I think about it, I just thought of the exact thing that would be the mafia. You build the city and then you rob it poor.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. It's a mafia game. Of course, Grand Theft Auto has a lot of ties with the mafia itself as of the gameplay.
We played a little bit of Nimbad, as I think this was like right around their Kickstarter. How has the game grown, or like what's it like now?
I didn't play any of the original, so I don't actually know. But I did watch some YouTube videos, and from what I've seen from the YouTube videos, there was the core gameplay loop was there, but there wasn't much else. It seemed like it was very repetitive, and now they have like a story mode,
Mm-hmm.
which seems to be the only mode where you start with very limited parts, and you pick a class, and depending on which class you pick, you get different parts based on that class. And it also gives you like different buffs. Like if you pick the miner class, then not only do you get like a few parts that are towards mining, building mining ships, but you also get like the special ability, two special abilities. One that anything that you mine, you get more resources from, and the other being that you know how there's those little vacuums that you got to do to suck up the materials.
Mm-hmm.
If you get the miner class, your drills actually has like built-in vacuum pumps in there, so that you don't even have to worry about putting those on there. And I know there's a programmer class where when you get it, you completely unlock every part. But I think that when you have that, you're strictly locked to drones. But you have very limited parts at the beginning, and when you have a part, it doesn't even give you as many of that part as you want. You have a set quantity of that part, and then when you go play a map, you unlock X amount of quality of X whatever parts are on that map. And every time there's two different resources. I believe this was in the original, the red and the yellow. I forget what their names are. The yellow basically is your cost to deploy your ships, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all kinds of there's like a skill tree and stuff, and one of the things you can upgrade is the amount of parts that you get for free. And I think max level only 30 parts, which is really low. And then there's another one that you get where it's got it reduces the cost of every part after the free ones. It starts off at I think 5 per part, but I think when you max it out, I think it gets down to 1 or 2 points per part.
All right. We've seen a few those sandbox builder games try to implement some kind of a story mode, or I guess quote unquote training mission kind of thing. And I do like the idea of them kind of limiting your parts. I felt that was an issue that Kerbal Space Program had, where they just basically say, you don't know anything about rocket physics, but we're going to give you all rocket parts and see what you can do with it.
Well, that's because you went into the free mode. Maybe that was the only mode available last time you played it. But if you go into the story mode, you're limited to 3 or 4 parts, and you have to build one specific ship pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you run missions, you unlock more and more parts, and it teaches you that way.
Yeah. But those games typically, I think, need really solid tutorial and onboarding, because we've seen that with a few of the games we've played lately, where they'll just kind of drop you in and not really give you too much in terms of guidance.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it is not necessarily tutorials, but really good descriptions of what each part does and how it functions, as well as a testing area where you can test those parts with no repercussions, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And this is why
experiment.
Why onboarding is very important for some of these games.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. News-wise, Neversong, the latest game from the guy who did Pinstripe, came out. He did a blog post on Gamasutra about being a solo developer and working on the game, which I thought was a very interesting read. I think I sent you the link to that. And
yeah, it was pretty good.
He kind of talked about the challenges of being a sole developer, having enough money come in to be able to work on the game, as well as making sure that he can still, pay the bills and keep his livelihood going.
Yeah, which is a real tough one that most developers never make it through.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why it's almost always better to... I would say it's technically always better to work in a team. It's not required, but it's definitely very favored.
Yeah. And again, just to share some of that workload can mean all the difference.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, because like making a game is this insane amount of work, especially a game that's going to be good enough to sell. And
Really, games are hard to make. I thought you can just do that in a weekend.
no, that's multiplayer.
Oh, okay. Games you at least 3 days, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But you only do it in the 3 days if you skip lunch every day.
Okay.
You have to skip lunch every day.
And you skip dinner, you can finish. You can do Star Citizen.
Yeah, exactly. They need to get good at skipping dinner.
Yeah. But it's good to see that he got the game out. I enjoyed it. It's one of those games that you really like. His games have always been very emotionally driven. Like, it's very hard to stream them, simply by the fact that they are so personal, and they are just completely spoiler. Like, if you play one of his games, you will spoil the entire story by the end of the stream.
Yeah. The problem with story-based games is just that.
Mm-hmm.
But you can get around that by putting in there something that will make still like a like if you take the story out, it's still a really solid game kind of thing. Or you have enough endings in there or enough meaningful choices in there that make everybody's experience different, or at least different enough kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be anything like like groundbreaking or anything. It can be like with the Aegis Defenders, how you got to pick if you wanted to be sassy or not sassy kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But you need to probably go a little bit farther than them and have well, as far as I know, we haven't played very far in that. Mm-hmm. But you need to have like something kind of more after the fact if you make that choice that is a repercussion of sorts for that choice, not necessarily like anything bad or good, just it could just be a line of text at a certain point that refers back to whichever choice you made. Like if you acted like a smartass or whatever, couple few paragraphs earlier is you make another choice and it's like, oh, I thought you were so cocky about this. or yeah, this is kind of how you thought earlier kind of thing, or any kind of other thing that just references what you chose, giving it some kind of meaning kind of thing.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be like doesn't have to change the gameplay or anything. It just has to be, I guess, meaningful in a narrative sense.
Yeah. To Pony's point about Hollow Knight, like with Hollow Knight, that is a game that's long enough, and the story really, I think it falls into that same realm as Dark Souls, where the story is merely kind of the setup for the gameplay, and it doesn't really, it doesn't really drive the experience. With something
it's
like
not story based. It has a story, and it's just not story based.
Yeah, with Neversong, we got to the second actual world of the game, and then it took me about an hour and a half to do the remaining levels. And yeah, like there were some pretty big spoilers at the end, like like stuff like if we were to show it, like nobody would really need to play the game anymore, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's something that developers making narrative focused games needs to look at, kind of thing, because you definitely want people on YouTube and whatnot to play your game and show it, because that's marketing.
Yeah.
So you kind of need something in there that doesn't have that ruin your game, essentially.
Yeah. I like what they did with what was it? Not the Dark Side Detective. The Shape-Shifting Detective, the one from Diavecchi Studios. That it's an FMV, mystery adventure game like they're known for. And what they do is, when you start a new game, it will randomly decide who the murderer is. So that even if you play and show the game on stream, there's no way that somebody's going to get the exact same playthrough as you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm debating about showing off their latest game. What was it? Dark Knights with Poe and Moreau. I don't know how far they go with it, but maybe we can spend like 30 minutes or so on the Indie Spotlight show this week, covering it.
Could be. Could work.
It is tough to like really show off narrative-driven games like that. The same thing with something like Senua's Sacrifice. Like, that game is a very personal experience, and it kind of seems almost like insulting the game to like be streaming it, trying to make jokes, or talking over doing these like very emotionally driven scenes.
Yeah, turn-based is another hard one to cover in media, because like a lot of the turn-based thing is sitting there thinking, and sitting there thinking on stream is, number one, distracting you from chat and everything about the stream, and number two, it's not entertaining on its own.
Yeah, and this is why we've seen more developers kind of embrace like the action camera, from like XCOM or Darkest Dungeon, and in a weird
those are still turn-based. They just have a lot more action to their turn-based. I guess a lot more action visual.
Yeah, and I think that's actually that would be a perfect segue into the second topic for the show too, about giving games personality. Let's see. Yeah. And that's true. And we've seen some people do like really well with streaming XCOM or Darkest Dungeon like that.
Yeah, and I tell you, and this also is a good segue into the second topic of the ability to name your characters and such. Gives a lot more, and customized characters, and having a decent number of characters gives that more streaming power as well.
Mm-hmm. But I think with that, let's get to our first topic then, and we'll see just how far we can go with it. And that is, of course, discussing pixel art. For some of you out there, you probably just got like a little nausea in the back of your throat with just the mere mention of it. Pixel art has become almost synonymous with indie games, especially over the last 10 years, and we have seen quite a bit of variation on that theme, right?
Oh yeah. Like, pixel art has like a wide range, and I am no expert in pixel art by any means, but I have definitely been learning a lot, and there's definitely like certain rules that you want to follow and certain guidelines that you want to either follow or break, depending on the situation, kind of thing. And like, those rules are really what makes pixel art look good for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to, if you follow those rules and you do it good enough, then you're more than likely going to end up with good looking pixel art, which is odd, kind of thing. Like, which is part of the reason why none of my last game, we're going to go for the word today here, Chromasia, none of that art looked good. Kind of, well, I wouldn't say none of it looked good, but it did not look good as a whole. It looked pretty bad as a whole, and and the main reason was because I didn't even know the rules, more or less, that I followed them.
Yeah, and that, I think, is typically an issue that we see a lot of indie developers kind of run into when they're building games, because from the outside, there's become this opinion that pixel art is kind of the throwaway aesthetic of your game. We just copy Mario and we have art in our title. But there is a ginormous line between good and bad pixel art. For every game like Owlboy, Huntdown, Shovel Knight, we have titles, I can't even remember them off the top of my head, that it just looks so low quality to them in terms of their style. There you go. You should have chose to copy Wario. That would have earned you all the money.
Yeah.
But, and I think the thing that we have to also clarify is that when we're talking about bad pixel art, it's not a matter, or it's not always a matter of just high def or high definition of that kind of aesthetic. What was the example of the Last Door? I always bring this one up, where it's just entirely squares and rectangles to design characters, but they do a lot with that to make it look like its own unique thing. But we've seen games where like the characters have a very generic look to them. Maybe like the guy's mouth is just like stuck in one position the entire time, and it looks worse than the games that came in the 80s and 90s, and that's always a bad sign.
Yeah. We want to swap to the alternate layout and share screens now.
All right, are you ready for it?
Yeah. Let me set up the share. Okay.
All right, 1 second here. Alright, we tested this before, but I'm sure the entire thing's broken. We'll see.
We'll have to see.
Alright.
Now what we're going to get into is criticizing the art. And we're going to start off with the word of the day, chromasia, because there are so many mistakes I made.
Alright, let's see.
Just didn't criticize, didn't test it enough.
And there's no way to make it shoot out. If I stretched out, then that kills the pixel art.
Well, you don't need to stretch it, but you need to scale it up.
I'm not sure how to do that. Just go like this?
Yeah, I think that's scaled up.
Alright, because if I stretch it to cover the whole screen, that's going to just completely...
Keep on doing it on the, bring it down. Oh, yeah, there. Zach says hold shift while you stretch it.
Okay.
Oh, no, that's not.
Yeah, that didn't do it.
Yeah.
Let's see if I do that. Huh. That kind of works. We got a full screen, but then we can't see each other. Unless I just pull this down.
Oh, and the YouTube quality's absolute murder.
Hmm.
Unsure how much we're going to be able to look at this.
That's the problem with the trying to get this to scale. Let's see.
Okay, let me zoom in. That should at least help.
Okay.
Kind of thing. Okay, let's see if we can see this tree here. Not too well.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if I can at least explain
Get
it.
maximum zoom.
If we look here at this tree, you might be able to see through the YouTube compression that every one of these pixels on this tree is a different color. You know, there's a casual two of the same colors right beside each other, but it's just it becomes a blurry mess is what it becomes. Like, I mean, it does not look bad on its own, but when you mix that with everything else, it definitely does not look good. Where when you look at the bricks here, they are, there's solid shapes to them, and they do not bleed kind of thing, and that's a lot better. Still not the best. When we come up here and look at this house here, you can see there's quite a lot of detail in here, like the shadows here, and this shadow, and all this. Like, when you're zoomed in like this, it does make this feel round, which is what I was going for. I was going for a round look and everything, trying to make it feel like a round outside wall, kind of like a log cabin kind of thing. But from a distance, it does not look good. And this has like tons of detail in it. And there doesn't need to be that. Yeah, exactly, Pony. Gradient is a no-no. This right here is a no-no. So when let me swap images. Now, this is not a good image, mind you, but this is a lot better image of the house. Now then, if we look here, you can see that, number one, I took out half or more than half of these tiles up here, making it far, far less busy. I took out that gradient that I had here, and I swapped it with a single color with one little highlight on this side and another little highlight on this side. On the shadows, we swapped that to a single color, and I also picked a direction for my light source, and I got rid of this bottom and this side for that direction kind of thing. And then I slightly changed up the colors. And it's just worlds better. It's still not what it should be. To be what it should be, the fact is I'm going to have to completely redo it, because the aspect ratio is off on this. Because if you look at the house, this is like, minus the stairs, this is like what you would see like in a side-scrolling platformer kind of thing. Not from a top-down. But if you look at the stairs is what you would see in a top-down.
I don't think we can see the stairs with how the image is.
What about now?
A little bit better. You can move it up a little bit.
No, that's all the way moved up.
I think I can. There we go.
Yeah, I do use references, but I didn't do a good enough job the first time. Let's see here. What else do we want to look at? Now, we've seen what's wrong. Let's now look at more what's right and what's more right kind of thing. And what's closer. So, this is art that was sent to me, well, not that one. This is art that was sent to me by a developer that I'm helping him with art, and he's thinking about hiring this artist here. Now, this is a lot better tile set kind of thing. It's very much a side-scrolling kind of thing. But there's issues here, that need to be addressed. Number one, we have a lot of little orphan pixels out here, and they seem kind of out of place. Number two is when you look at like this section right up here at the top. Oh, I just realized y'all can't see my cursor. Let me try to fix that. Let's open this up in paint.net. Okay. So, like I was saying before, we have orphan pixels like in here. These pixels just kind of feel out of place here. A few in here, kind of thing. A little bit here. Just these orphan pixels feel out of place. And then when we look over here at like this big run right here, this big area right here, you can clearly see the repeating pattern by these little gaps here. And you don't want to make it so obvious for the players that this is a repeating pattern, because then it's going to feel cheap. You want to hide the repeating pattern as much as you can. Then another thing is, when you look here at the light, where's the light coming from? You're like, well, the light's probably coming from the top, so it's going to, of course, hit the top of these, right? But when you look at it, there's no depth to this. The light is just hitting the dead side of it. What you probably want to do is add a little bit of a top here, where you see your characters running across it, and then have the light shine, like right in here maybe, where you can see like the corner of the brick kind of thing. But then you have these thick bricks over here, but then it's paper thin over here, and it really does not fit. It clashes right here because of that. And then you have the fact that it's both bright on this side and bright on this side, which is fine if you have a torch here and a torch here. But are you going to have a torch every 3 blocks? Because it's like that everywhere. Just copy Metroid. Yeah, exactly. And also, it's bright up here on the roof, the ceiling. You need to pick a light source. And generally you don't want that light source just straight above kind of thing, because no matter if it's straight above, then you're going to have like stuff over here going this way and stuff going this way kind of thing. So like, you probably want your light source be more over here or over here in one of the upper corners kind of thing, or somewhere in that area for your light source, and make that impact all of your art from that point. Or maybe, if you do a cave level, that's depending on torches, maybe not, but like in general, your outside tiles should fit that, unless you're doing some kind of like timing, and in which case you would need to adjust your tile sets probably in multiple ways. You have the morning tile set, and then you have the afternoon tile set kind of thing. But you probably want to have a different actual tile set for that, make it a different level kind of thing. But I don't think players are really going to notice that, so I wouldn't necessarily put so much work into that unless you really feel the need to. I could be wrong on that, but I just don't feel that being a strong kind of thing. But you can see how it lacks the consistency here with the the thickness of the bricks, plates kind of thing. But like, it also does like many things good, because like when you're talking about like a side-scrolling tile set like this, if it had stuff like this all the way through here, it would look extremely busy and just would draw your eye away from where you need to be looking. You need to be looking where you're going to be running at. So what he did real good here is he filled this in with a solid color, a darker color. It doesn't have to be a solid color, but a solid color is easier, honestly. But the fact is, the main thing is it needs to be a darker color. It needs to be less attractive to your eye, but still look good and believable. And he's done a good job at that. He's also done a good job at these bricks, making them not feel just straight kind of thing. That said, these side bricks, even though there's holes in them and everything, and they're not straight, they still feel straight because of the lack of the complete brick again.
Mm-hmm. And one thing, like, I'm noticing, it's a little harder to kind of tell, at least at first glance, when the it kind of repeats the pattern of the bricks on the top. I'm trying to,
yeah,
I can
this
kind of
part
make
up
it
here,
out. Yeah,
yeah. You can easily tell it down here, but you can't tell. It's very hard to tell it up here. I mean, I can tell it pretty easily, but that's just because I know what I'm looking for.
Yeah. I think one thing, like, is kind of like a tip that may help. You can see, like, the background, like the wire frame, like each square. That if the pattern fits that square, it becomes very easy to see that repeating line. This one, it kind of goes almost like it's almost like a block and a quarter before the pattern repeats, and just makes it a little bit more, I think, natural to the person's eyes.
Yeah, they they cut off the blocks kind of here, right there and right there, and that's a good thing. You want your you don't have to do that, but that makes it often easier to hide those lines.
Yeah.
Let's look at a different piece of art here. Okay, here's. Yeah, that's not the version I want to look at. We want to look at the earlier versions. This is another developer that sent me stuff. Well, I can't find an earlier version. Let's just look at this one. So, this is a brand new pixel artist, as far as I know of. And I've been helping him along, and he's doing quite well. He's gone through many iterations. Yeah, he's very much inspired by Pokemon kind of thing. He's bounced back and forth behind having black lines and not having black lines. Right now, he's this is pretty fitting, except for he lacks like a black line for the for his coastline as well as for his road here. See, he's got this. If you look really closely, he's got a different yellow here as an outline. But number one, that's too close of a yellow to the other yellow if you were going to do that as an outline. Number two is you would want to do that. You would want to use a green for the outline around your tree and such like that. You want to stay consistent. And he's pretty consistent here. The only thing he's lacking is, again, the black light outlines on the tiles, or removing the black outlines from the objects. Honestly, with the way this is looking, I'm thinking more add the black lines and take them away, because I think it's looking better with the black lines, just because of the style and everything. But it's a really simple style, because if you look here, and it only took him like a few minutes to pump a lot of these out. He's got four different colors. No. Four different colors of green here, I think that is.
Yeah.
And then He's probably using too many colors of green here with the edges here, because it is starting to lose contrast in between this. This is something I'm just now noticing. Mm-hmm. Because oftentimes when pixel art is a lot about contrast and everything, and you want to, and the best way to show off that contrast is having less colors, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That's not the only way, but that's the generally easiest way in a palette, kind of thing. You need to have a palette to work from on your colors. Building your palette is a completely different topic that I am probably not qualified to do. I'm still trying to learn that myself. But like, I know that you want a palette that has a good ramp, and I will tell you a little bit about palettes. Like, let's just check what he's got here. So generally what you would want to do is go one direction on one of these and the other direction on the other with the shade and value.
I don't think we can see the palettes image.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
So generally what you want to do is go probably, I think it's up in shade and down in value. And then you would go up in shade more and down in value, kind of thing, to get that. But at the same time, I think you want to go change your hue a little bit each time to get that palette. But again, I'm not in a position to teach about the palettes. But let's just see what his palettes kind of look like. See here, his is 98, 72, 100. So he went up on the hue from 98 to 110. He went slightly up on shade, and he went slightly down on value. And then here he went up by 10 on hue, 2 down on shade. He probably should have went up on shade there because instead of back down. This should probably be 76 on shade at least. And then he went down in value again. So here, he went up in shade slightly. He should have went up a little bit more than that, but this one should have been a lot higher to begin with. Mm-hmm. And then for these colors, well, for this color here, he should have probably used this color down here. Well, he did. He did exactly what he should have done. And then this one would be a darker green. I wonder if this is the same color. No. It probably should be the same color between these two. And he could also, now I'm looking at it real close, he could probably use a second color here on his tree trunk. And after he gets his black in here, he could probably use a second color in here on his sand path.
One thing that I'm kind of noticing that looks a little bit off, you scroll back up to the characters for a second.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of see like where like the shirt meets their face, that it kind of looks almost like a flesh colored mustache on the characters.
Kind of does. I don't know what the fix would be for that because I'm again not that good with pixel art, but maybe if he did a black line down here, like maybe something like this is obviously not the right size. Let's see here. If I can kind of.
Just give everybody mustaches. That will fix everything. Yeah, just something to better kind of like maybe better definition around that shirt.
Yeah, maybe a black line down there. Maybe the black line needs to be farther down. I'm unsure, but
Yeah, maybe a little thinner in terms of the line as well.
well, it can't be thinner because it's supposed to be 1 pixel anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's not technically 1 pixel, but it's supposed to be. So like it can't be thinner, but he can do anti-aliasing tricks to make it appear thinner.
Mm-hmm.
But that won't actually make it thinner. It probably needs to be lower. Maybe like grab something like that and move it down about like that, and then live pixel art could be something like that. Either way,
it's like an Amish beard.
Yeah, it kind of does. But either way, it does need a little something down here to kind of define it.
Yeah.
And, another thing that really kind of gets us is, like, you can see the little waves in the water here.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see them up here. But there's, like, nothing down here in this corner kind of thing, and that just feels off.
You can definitely tell that it's a repeating pattern with those waves.
Yeah. So what I would probably do here is, maybe grab this, copy it, and paste, and bring this kind of over here and over here.
I don't think we can see it right now.
Kind of like that.
Okay.
But at the same time, now that causes interference with this, and this doesn't make sense on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Because why would the water be flowing, this way and this way? So you might want to kind of shift these.
The joy of art, that when you mess with one thing, it affects everything around it.
Yep. And that's the key to pixel art, is getting everything to fit together well.
Mm-hmm. And like we said earlier, there is such a very wide line between good and bad pixel art.
Yep. And there's no specific rules as of like what you do in the pixel art. It's more like the nuances in pixel art, like the whole orphan pixels kind of thing. A few orphan pixels in certain spots are fine, but that's only in certain spots.
Mm-hmm.
Like right here, that's fine. And here's the part where I'm going to tell him that he needs to work on his lighting sources. Mm-hmm. And I told him that I would only talk about this for 30 minutes. So start the timer for 30 minutes. So right here, it looks like the sun is beaming down right on top. Mm-hmm. And that does not work out, like I said, in the long term kind of thing, because if everything's beaten on from the top, then some of the things on the outside are going to obviously be beaten on from this side and this side kind of thing, which, sets everything off. You need to kind of, again, pick one of the corners, one of the top corners, generally, to be your light source kind of thing. So let's look at an example of picking a light source kind of thing like that. Let's see here. I had a really good example in mind, and I just I wonder where that image is.
I've been thinking of games like Blasphemous and recently with Huntdown in terms of having some really impressive lighting and detail.
Oh yeah, those have really good lighting. So here's a good example of one that has a good pick a lighting source.
Mm-hmm.
like you can tell that their light source is right up here.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you take and come up here and draw lines down, you can see how that's going right to where they're targeting, kind of thing. And then you can see the shade. Let's represent the shade with purple over here on the opposite side, going this way. And they have, and then, you know, in between, you can see the kind of middle area here. Well, that's probably needs a different color. Let's go, not green. Let's go light blue. So, like, you know, then they have, like, the middling areas over here that are kind of the transitioning areas in between. And this is, you know, and you can see that this also applies to their tree trunk, because you can see the lines here come down like that. And then you can see that the shade, again, from that same kind of angle here. And you want to apply that to every piece of art, because the last thing you want to do is have one piece of art look like the sun's over here beaming down, and then this bush over here, we'll say there's a pretend bush over here getting sun from that side. Unless you're making a game about an alien planet that has multiple suns, that doesn't work. And if you're making a game with multiple suns, that still doesn't work, because you're going to have to make that sun also affect this one in that same way. And you're going to have that affect that. And you're going to have, that's going to get a really complicated kind of thing.
All the lines.
Yes, all the lines. This is what, in the end, this is actually what ray casting is. Because, you know, when we talk about the new, you know, ray casting graphic cards and everything, what they're doing is literally shooting beams of light down here, and then the objects have a certain reflectivity to them, and then they refract that art, that light. So, like, if the sun beams down like this here, if it has a, you know, a small reflectivity, it'll reflect up like that. If it has a big one, it'll reflect up like that, kind of thing. Or if your game is on the sun, just make sure it's on the dark side of the sun.
There you go. Perfect.
That's the solution right there. Just make sure it's on the dark side of the sun. That's the side you want to land on anyway. If you're going to land on the sun, you want to land on the dark side of the sun.
So, just as a heads up, we're about to hit an hour into the stream, and I do want to kind of move on to the new games, or weird game set, in probably the next like 10-15 minutes. But one question that I wanted to ask you, and I think this is something that I'm sure other developers or even consumers have thought about. Why is it that, despite how long pixel art has been around for, again, we're talking late 80s, even, probably even say just earlier, like the Atari level graphics, why do we see lesser examples of pixel art today, considering this medium has been around for so long?
Well, I don't think we necessarily see lesser examples today, because there's plenty of examples back in the day of pretty dang bad pixel art. Like you played like the
LGN games.
Yeah, a lot of LGN games. They had, you know, bad pixel art. But so it's not just that the newer games are lesser kind of thing. I mean, the older games were lesser too. You know, we just have what you would call it, survivor bias, and you know, these games were the successful ones, and these all had beautiful art. You know, and we'll have the survival bias in several years from now and say, oh yeah, every game looked like Stardew Valley or better kind of thing because these were the successful games. You know what I mean?
Oh God.
And the other games didn't exist because they died. We have that kind of issue now with people thinking that it's easier to make a game because we just take all the successes and be like, hey, look, all these other people succeeded. I don't see any of the failures, so nobody failed. When there's so many people that fail, that does not, kind of, you don't see. And then that's a vast majority of game developers, sadly.
Yeah.
But the reason why is because a lot of people don't know the rules. I didn't know the rules. I'm still learning the rules, and I'm just here sharing some of the ones that I've learned, kind of thing. But I didn't know the rules before. I totally screwed things up, and because of that, it really hurt the aesthetics. And another really point that we've hit on a little bit is consistency. We need light sources to be the same on everything that's going to have that kind of light in it. Like if you have multiple different kind of lighting situations, that's different kind of thing. Like if you have like the outside environment and then you have like inside the cave, the lighting is going to be different. But assuming all your lighting sources are the same, then all of your art needs to be consistent in that light source kind of thing. If you're going to run black outlines kind of thing on, hard black outlines around the outline, you want to do that all the way through. If you're going to use colored outlines kind of thing, then you want to do that all the way through. If you're going to run white outlines, you want to do that all the way through. You want to be consistent in that. Yeah. And consistent doesn't mean the same. It just means consistent. Because, like, if you're running with the colors kind of thing, like this one is, you can see that it's running a dark green here around the tree, right here. It's running, I should probably do this selection tool. It's a dark green right here. But then you got dark brown here. And then you got dark green here. Like that is consistent in the fact that it is a darker version of the color. It is a type, you're going up on the or down on the palette basically to a darker and deeper shade kind of thing.
Yeah. And I just thought of an example I wanted to say. Not blasphemous. Another thing I think to watch out for when it comes to pixel art is we've seen some developers either go too busy with their style, where it's impossible to tell the foreground from the background, or it's too plain. Like when the background is just one solid color, and it kind of distracts from the beauty of the foreground kind of thing.
Yeah, you gotta you don't want. You want to show, I think this is a background. Let me see if I can open that. Yeah, here we go. So this is a pretty good example of a background here. Like you can see that it's very simple. It's not it's not over the top. You can see that there's a few different colors in this rock. There's probably not enough shade difference in here, but is still enough.
You can tell that there is like a depth of the perspective of like the different cloud lines.
Yeah, he had whoever did this had a good contrast up here, but kind of lacked it a bit down here. So I would think you'd want a little bit more contrast down here in between these colors. The colors being a little bit farther apart in the color wheel kind of thing. But there's not very much detail in here. There's not very much things that will take away from your eye.
Yeah, we couldn't see the bottom of that.
Let's see if that
Yeah, that's
works.
better. Yeah, like that. It's very like I can make it out very barely. Where like the top part of that rock is different from the bottom part, but it does kind of like just like one like amorphous blob if you're just looking at it very quickly.
Yeah, which is the reason why you need to have that difference, that contrast in there. That's very, very important for the pixel art, because pixel art lives and dies basically by its contrast,
Mm-hmm.
which is the exact reason why you never ever want to do a gradient, because a gradient is a lot of different colors kind of thing. You want to keep your color. You want to keep colors to in a shades of one color to a low number, and make sure that each shade is far enough apart that it's contrast enough, where this doesn't contrast enough. Like for example, if we took this, let's take this. No, let's take this color here, and we'll add. We'll take a little bit of value away from it, and then we'll replace that in there. Probably too much.
Yeah, that's a little.
And then we grab this one here and take a little bit of value away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Probably about maybe like this.
Yeah, it gives it a little. It gives it more depth.
Yeah, now you can see that depth. That's probably,
Mm-hmm.
that's just, like 10 seconds of color changes.
And it
This
makes
is
it
not
like.
what you want to actually do. You want to actually have a palette that has colors already
Mm-hmm.
selected. But this is just an example to that contrast and everything that you want. See, he had that contrast up here. You can clearly see, plenty of contrast up in here in the sky. And that's exactly what you want. And now that I've done that, you can see the contrast down here. It's not a great contrast because I just did it really quick. But you need that contrast. That pixel art lives and dies by that contrast.
And again, I think one thing to point out for like people like myself, who I am definitely not an artist, is that what Shark just as you said, it took you 10 seconds to make that change. And while it's not, that shouldn't be like your final draft, it looks like completely different. It gives a completely different look and feel to it. And
Mm-hmm.
this is, again, one of the challenges when it comes to having a good aesthetic to your game. That it can take a. This is, again, why a lot of developers don't necessarily like to do art unless they have that art background. Because it takes a lot of time, and unless you know what you're doing, to make your game look good. And we've sadly, and this is probably its own topic easily, the whole issue of placeholder art or quote unquote programmer art. That
Mm-hmm.
you need your game to have a good look and feel to it. And one of the issues that we see with programmer art and stock art is that there's no real consistency to it. And I remember this game that I played. I think this was a Valor Without Win 1. This was like, what is it, like 8 years ago? Where like you'll have one level where it's like, oh look, there's a slime enemy. And then right next to him there's like a hard-line mechanical robot. And it looks like they belong in like 2 or 3 different games.
Yeah, that's where we get back to the consistency.
Mm-hmm.
The consistency is so important in all art. But, with pixel art itself, you not only have to worry about that consistency, you've got to worry about the contrast in between colors. And the best way to basically get that contrast is a limited palette.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate that idea, but it works, kind of thing. It definitely works. And let's get on to a different kind of
Yep, and if we can move on like the next 5 minutes, that would be good, just to keep things on time.
Yeah. Let me see here. If I can find it.
Because again, like this is one of those topics, just like a lot of our design talks, that we can certainly come back to with sub examples and drilling it down further.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find it. If you have anything to say, now would be a good time while I'm trying to find it.
So, like as we've said, like some of like the better examples we've seen lately would be stuff like Blasphemous. I guess here's a question. While you're see if I can really mess you up while you're trying to look for it. We played Demon's Crest and Gargoyles Quest last week for the retro games segment. What did you think of the pixel graphics in those games?
I'm having trouble remembering them. I remember the. Oh, I remember now. Slightly, anyway. I remember the game.
Yes, Another World and Flashback were really great. That reminds me, I need to cut up the oh good, more work for me. I need to cut up the Gargoyles Quest and Demon's Crest streams into a Let's Play or a complete play video.
Yeah, I can't remember it enough to evaluate it. But from what I remember, it didn't look bad, but it wasn't especially good. Okay, this is not what I was looking for, but we'll go with this. So let me open this in a different thing. So, see if now this is a palette that I recently downloaded. And I haven't used this palette, but we're just going to assume that this is a good palette. I don't actually know because I'm not good at that kind of thing. But I can check a few things to see how good of a palette it is. In theory, all of these colors here at the top will be the exact same color. Or really, really close. And they are all the exact same color. So all the colors blend back into this same color at the top, and it should be the same down here at the bottom, but I can clearly see that it's not on these two right here.
We can't see the all the way at the bottom of that. Okay, there we go.
So, but if you look at that color, that's probably the same color. So it probably works right there. You just have to, it just jumps. So it's a weird kind of jump here, but like this is kind of all the same here. I would think that it would be down, this would be down here too, maybe something like that. But you kind of want that so that you can blend all your colors together. It has the, it can blend. You blend all your top into this color, and you blend all your bottom basically into this color, essentially. If we can get it on the stream.
Okay, there we go.
With how Josh has it. But then you can look here, and you can see the amount of contrast in here from this one to this one to this to this. There's a lot of like contrast there. It pops, and you really want that lot of contrast / popping kind of thing. But as you can see, there's not much yellow or green in this tile set, so or this color palette. So maybe that's a good thing or a bad thing, depending on the game that you're specifically working on. we should, I need to learn how to make palettes. I've learned to a certain point, like I said before, kind of, I think in general you go up in shade, down in value, and slightly over in hue. But the situation changes. You may want to go another direction on the hue in certain cases, I believe. And there's all kinds of rules in making a palette that I'm not even sure of. So I'm not going to sit here and give you specific guides or anything on that kind of thing, because I'm still learning on that. But that's kind of a general rule of thumb that I've learned in that. Right. And before we go into all kinds of other tangents on this, I think that's probably where we should end this topic.
Yeah. But I think that was a really good starter lesson. Again, we can certainly come back to talking about art, aesthetics, and all that in future shows and videos.
Yeah, because I think art is one of the things that a lot of people that watch our show really need, kind of thing. And keep in mind that all of this stuff was specific to pixel art, but a lot of this applies to other kinds of art. The one thing that may not apply to the other art is the contrast in between the limited palette and the contrast. That's the one kind of very specific to pixel art. But I don't think there's any rule that you can't do that in other forms of art.
Yeah. All right. And I think for my final point for this section, as we've said, you really need to have somebody on your team, especially in today's market, who understands the art side of things. You need somebody who's a good artist, because of the fact that so many games are now competing for your time, that, as we've said, if something looks off, it just drags the entire game down. And you don't need, as we said, you don't need any more arrows to the knee than you already have trying to make a video game.
And keep in mind that when somebody goes to buy your video game, the thing they're looking at is your trailers and your screenshots.
Yep.
And what are trailers and screenshots showing you? It's showing you the art and your video editing skills. And maybe if you're lucky, one mechanic.
Yep.
So or just a refresher of mechanics to people who already know your game, which is not the people you're probably trying to target in your trailer.
Alright, but with that, let's get to our weird games and see what is coming out the following week. I'm going to probably do a quick tweak here. Let's see what happens.
And see if we can point out where they've messed up on their pixel art. Because I'm sure we'll have many examples of places where they messed up on their pixel art.
Probably. Let's see. What do we have?
I would be supremely surprised if we didn't come across at least one of them.
Oh, good. This game has 450,000 characters and 62,000 words.
Oh.
Here's some really impressive art. And it's all in Russian, I think. Okay. That really shows off that game.
Yeah, that is.
Oh, here's another one. You like this one? Can you make out what's happening?
Can't yet because stream hasn't caught up. There we go.
I can tell what's happening here.
Yeah, light shows. It's a rave, exactly.
What the hell? I can't even see a main character. Your goal is... Oh, good. Don't be afraid of the dark. Ooh, dark, murky atmosphere.
Yeah. And you don't want your game to be too dark. You don't want to lose your character in there. Your character needs to stand out.
And I've said this many times. If your game is too hard to look at or too hard to see, I am not going to play it, period. It's one of the reasons why I kind of got away from a lot of the indie horror games that just said, let's just make the lighting so poor you can't see anything, and that will make it scary. No, it just gives me a headache trying to piece together what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Alright, so, wait. This, is it my imagination, or is this screen right here and this one, they don't really match?
No, they don't, but that may be a cutscene or something.
Mm-hmm. Wait till home. Climb the mountain. Designed by students as a final degree project. That's not good. That's not something you'll want to put into your marketing.
Yeah, that's anti-marketing.
Come play this game that was our final student project and give us money for it.
Yeah, you don't want to sell student projects anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Student project equals not low quality, kind of thing. Like not saying that you can't make a high quality one, but the fact is you don't have enough time to.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, you're still learning. Even if you get a 100A grade on this, it's probably, that 100A grade in school
doesn't
is probably
mean
worth a D in real life.
Yeah. I'm going to put in a key for it just to see, because it is a platformer.
You mean a platformer?
Sure. Let's see. Burn Me Twice.
Oh, this sounds like your kind of game.
You missed the game that was literally called Get Good. That was the night I think you fell asleep early. And I did not get good, and you missed all the jokes you could have made for that one.
That would have probably been too easy.
Oh, I think I saw this game, or I may have saw this when I was looking on Kimelo the other day. Like, I like the backgrounds of this game, but the character models just aren't doing it for me. You can see it in this GIF that should be loading up on the stream.
Oh, those character models. Ugh.
Like, the backgrounds look amazing.
Yeah, those character models clash hard against the backgrounds.
It looks like they're trying to do that, like that voxel look that Stoneheart did. But
no, that's low poly. What that is?
Okay,
that's low poly. But it doesn't look like the backgrounds are low poly.
It is a Keymailer. A Keymailer is a press site for people to request keys. Yeah. And again, about matching your art.
Yeah, no matter what kind of art it is, it's got to be. It needs to match.
Yeah. Like if you look at this scene I have right here, you can tell that there's different lighting. Like the cauldron is pushing the lighting over here. You have kind of the orb on this side. Like this, I think this looks really good.
Yeah.
But again, those characters.
This may be. No, this ain't low poly. But the characters are. Because all those stones are sticking up. They're not just textures. Mm-hmm. They're actually sticking up. That's not low poly. That is a. The characters are, though.
What is this? Not their will.
They want to see Yorin.
Alright. Fight 10 different enemies.
Just 10 different enemies?
But wait, there's 10 human enemies, 3 mechanical enemies.
Yeah. When you have to list the number of enemies that you have, probably not a good idea. Probably not a good sign that there's much to your game.
Let's see, Ancient Zero. Agent Zero is a puzzle and stealth game in isometric view. I like this. Has a really good. Oh yeah, remember that game we looked at last week, the timeline time manipulating game? That had a really amazing aesthetic.
I can't remember it. You know me. I forget all these games right after we look at them.
This looks good to me. What do you think?
Yeah, it doesn't look bad. I can't, YouTube compression and everything, which was completely murder on our last topic. But
yeah. Turn around, view the little side. Okay. Yeah, so you're moving rooms around? This doesn't look too bad. Very. Let's see. Well, it's an indie game.
Is it the indie genre?
Mm-hmm. Alright. Yorin. Oh, I was not expecting that screenshot as the very first thing.
Did you just call it you were in?
Yorin?
I think that's more right. Urine.
Oh, good. The game mainly serves as an experimental magic simulator. Bugs, glitches, and performance issues are to be expected. Oh, it's a VR game.
I hate to tell them, but that's not a good name.
Yeah.
Number one, it needs to be something that people can spell and look up on Google pretty easily. If you slightly misspell that, you ain't finding it. Number two is it could easily be misconfused with what I just said.
I don't know. Something about these screenshots of Hopebringers, like, it's not doing it for me. Like, it looks... I can't tell if this looks low quality or just busy.
That's a good question. Something's definitely off on it. One of the things is the UI of the blocks that you can move. That's definitely off.
Mm-hmm.
And the UI itself is very basic in shape. It's just rounded squares with rounded corners.
It looks like placeholder art again, or programmer art.
For the UI, yeah. The UI definitely looks placeholder / programmer art.
Yeah, like right here. Why is there a mouse cursor button in the top left?
That might be part of the tutorial, telling you to click your button.
Yeah, like here's like one thing that's really like annoy me. You see where it says no more actions available. There is like no attempt to kind of make that blend into the world or the aesthetic. It just looks like somebody typed in, basic text and left it in the main game.
Yeah, that's again, this game has a lot of UI problems. I tell you that on the art, and that's another thing is your UI is also art.
Yep.
You have UI art, and your UI art needs to fit your game as well. It needs to fit your other art. And it needs to be of a good quality. And you need to have actually good UI design in that too. And in good UI design comes UX design, and you've got to really have good UX, which ties into most things. That ties into the art, the UI, the programming, the tutorials, all kinds of other stuff.
I'm going to put in for it. We'll see what happens.
The game design, UX ties into a lot of things.
Oh, here, and speaking about really good aesthetics, here's one. Each sale I drink a glass of water, the game.
Yeah. Is what a quote, Tony.
Oh, God. How many red flags are you seeing with this one?
All of them, and I hadn't even seen inside the game.
The game experiment is in early access for 1 year, and every time someone buys it, I will record myself drinking a glass of water and add it to the game.
I just have to let you know that we just got demonetized. Look at his shirt.
Oh, no.
That's Nintendo property. Just got a D-mod. Wait.
What the hell is this bottom part? Was he promoting another game inside his game?
Could be.
What the hell? Okay, I'm sure that will be a Game of the Year winner there. There's that Haxity game.
The dark side of Key Miller. No, this is like the white side of Key
Yeah,
Miller.
that's light side. What are you talking about? That is normal compared to other stuff that we can't show.
Yeah.
Like that time almost got banned. Yeah, I can show now it'll be banned. Doesn't bother Shark. Oh, good. The Mortal Kombat. I'm going to put in for this and not even expect to get it.
Oh, you probably won't.
Let's see. The Lost Lap. Oh, good. It's another Match 3 adventure. Let's see. Sword Shot. Retro-inspired casual shoot with amazing 1-bit graphics.
I hate to tell them that's not 1-bit.
Yeah, that does not.
1-bit only has 2 colors.
Mm-hmm.
And, right there in that swirling dust thing, I see 2 colors in that. And then I see the white swirling around it, and then I see the black behind it. That's 4 colors.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you went up to the other screenshots, there's like 5 or 6 different other colors in there. There's like 4 colors in each one of them. It seems like, that's not 1-bit.
He's lying. Damn him.
Yeah.
Somewhere pause.
That's like Game Boy colors, where they only have 4 colors.
Okay, so this is a game where you're apparently hunting down cats. Well, the aesthetic
Hunt down the cat, man.
Aesthetic seems okay. Oh, good. Charming music. I'm sure this will be a riveting game for us to play on stream.
Oh, yeah.
Edge of Dreams.
Riveting. What's that card in Amp Crystals?
Let's see. Edge of Dreams the first. Ooh, a first-person act. Wait. Edge of Dreams is a first-person action. Do they mean a first-person shooter?
No, it's a first-person action game. It's also a platformer and a visual novel.
I was going to say that. Oh, the underwater world with its own enemies and rules. Okay. What were you saying? Cards Amp. Match 3 meets trading cards. Dually mix of trading cards and matching crystals. 400 plus cards, correct. Oh, it's 0% pay to win. With full voice acting.
Sounds like it's pay to win.
Uh-huh.
Oh, God, that blown up image at the bottom.
Yeah, that's haunting. Oh, there's a dating minigame, apparently.
Oh.
Why is it blurry?
Because they probably scaled it up with some anti-aliasing and stuff, and it looks horrible. They need to scale it up without anti-aliasing, pixel perfect. And to do that, you need to scale it in such a way that it is a multiple of the core.
And speaking about the problems with showcasing a turn-based or tactical game, like this screenshot right here does absolutely nothing. It's just a mess of numbers and words to me. Because I don't know what this game's about.
The thing is this alone isn't bad, but what's bad is that they put so much stuff on your plate at the same time right there. Yeah. They needed to space it out more and put it in bigger text and make it more clear and easy to read.
Yeah. I mean,
if they had done that, it would have been a lot better.
I mean, I can tell that they put some work into like getting the aesthetics of this game, but like if I was just a consumer looking at this game on Steam, nothing here is convincing me to even give this game the time of day.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put in for it. Maybe we'll get it, maybe we won't.
A lot of Steam people will probably, leave a message about, this is, garbage. Get this no effort crap show off of Steam. And I've never heard that before.
So this is a game that I think I got. Somebody sent me an email if they want me to check this one out. You're using time manipulation as a shooter, so you basically team up with yourself.
Team up with yourself
in different dimensions, essentially, or different time sense.
So this is a game for people who don't have friends?
Probably.
There we have it. It's a first-person shooter for people who don't have friends. Do you play against yourself at the same time?
That would be kooky. I'm getting a very big Overwatch feel to this.
Yeah, I was getting that from the very beginning with that animation.
Yeah. Just like it has that very plain
Plain but clean.
Yeah, that kind of aesthetic.
Yeah.
What was that, Highlander? There's a hero called Justin? Let me see. No. Alright.
I think I did see that.
Chico, Maximilian. Damn you, Justin. This is like that character from Streets of Rage, what was his name? Chad or Dustin? That was just a pain. Maybe Justin's the best character. Huh? Maybe I'll ask through the email if people want to see that. Dimension of Dreams. I was not expecting this by that thumbnail. Unique strategy card game with roguelike elements. 400 cards, 100 relics, 6 adventures. They are really using the numbers here, aren't they?
Yeah. How many words are in it?
Let's see. One thing that's kind of a negative is that all the text appears to be in Japanese.
I wouldn't consider that a negative.
It's kind of hard to know what I'm looking at. I know there's numbers there. What do you think? Should I put in for it?
Yeah.
That looks like a skill tree to me. We did like that, what was it? 999 days, or whatever it was called. Let's see. Wildfire put in for King of Streets.
Yeah, Wildfire looks like it might be a real good one.
And we'll see what we get. Ooh, Roguelike Blackjack. Ooh, Drox Operative 2.
What is a rogue, though?
You'll have to buy my book to find out. Hardcore difficulty. What do you think of this game?
I think that you could take this and make a really good style out of it, but as it is right now, it does not work. But I think that you could take this, do a little bit of work to it, and it would look really, really great. It's just missing that kind of cohesive flair.
And here's a game that I am very excited about, Drox Operative 2. This is from Soldak, who made all those very challenging ARPGs. His problem has always been the art side. And I'm not seeing any improvements, unfortunately. His games are mechanically brilliant, but they just don't pop.
Yeah.
But
you should tell him to watch a podcast.
Yeah. I've been trying to get him on for our podcast for the last 4 years. Yeah. I'm not even going to put a key in for it because I talked to him directly, so I'll get one that way. Let's see. The Forsaken Ruins.
What about Meditation 3, the Sophia
Ooh.
Code? That one looks like it's high quality.
What? Oh, good. How many red flags does this message get you at the bottom?
Which one? Several.
More than 7 or less than 3?
More than 7.
Okay. I have plans to find and add more content. Okay. Do we need to do a video about student projects?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably.
Wait. Game difficulty. The number of game levels is very rich, and the difficulty will continue to increase. Okay. Alright. Escape from Dirt. Edge of Dawn.
Here, that's added onto the topic list.
Edge of Dawn. Oh, this game is first person.
First person?
Yeah.
So you play as a bunch of pears? Who are you fighting against? The tomatoes?
I
Pears
like the
versus tomatoes
detail
and
of these environments.
Yeah.
Not that one. Like, this screenshot right here looks really impressive. You can actually see, like, the detail in the guy's skin on his hand.
And you also
And
have
the
the UI of the freezing effect around him, showing that he's getting cold, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Very much like 7 Days to Die.
I think to Highlander's point, it has like that kind of like Michael Bay. We're going so over the top with realism, with detail.
Could be.
It's definitely not my genre, though. I am not a first-person survival crafting fan. But
I mean, what would we have to do to turn you into a pear? So.
Let's see. Cultist Simulator is getting another expansion. Monster Territory. What the hell?
It does have some similarities to the forest.
What the hell? What's need lots of SL? What's SL?
Only thing I can think of is something you get demonetized for.
Okay. I don't even know what this game is. It plays like a mathematical puzzle. Good. So here's one where I can't even tell what the gameplay is looking at these screenshots.
Yeah. You think it's maybe a Stardew Valley kind of thing?
I don't know. Think it's a visual novel game?
Oh, it's got to be a visual novel game.
Alright. One more page and then we'll move on. Let's see.
3 pages later.
What the hell? Okay. Wait. It's a 3D third person. What the? This looks very generic. And there's a lens
You know what
flare.
they should do? They should do a 2D second person.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe a 2D third person. Or what about a 2D fourth person? That would really blow minds right there.
In this title, one-on-one 3D online shooting battles take place with the camera looking down the action. You mean a top-down camera? And that's not even a top-down view. That's more of an isometric.
Yeah, I think they described it right. You're wrong with your calling it isometric. It was a 3D whatever something another jumbled up mess thing something. That's what it was.
What the hell? Okay. Resolution. I should. Oh yeah, I need to ask for the key for that one. It's kind of. I think this is either a Hyper Light Drifter. It's kind of looks like that kind of appeal. I remember playing the demo. It was very hard too.
Did you get good?
Nah.
Yeah, I knew you didn't.
Missy's
If you were going to be honest about it.
Tournament. My red flag sensor is going off right here.
Yeah. What about the transformation tournament?
With the Velvet Deluxe Pass. Let's see. Scott.
Oh, my red flags definitely got confirmed on that one. I didn't even click on it. I just looked at the rest of the. I just looked at one of the O in the name.
Enchantress Tower Tag Rhythm Fighter. What the hell?
You're looking at the Rhythm Fighter after you. You can't do music games.
Oh, good. It's a hardcore game. Oh, good. A 2D roguelike with rhythm. Because I love rhythm-based games in my roguelikes.
Exactly. You need to get a key for that.
Let's see. Continue update. What? I like the aesthetic.
Yeah, the aesthetic is quite good.
Alright. I will fail to dance. Song of Horror. Oh yeah, that was that horror game. Nerved. Okay. Oh, professional voice narration.
How professional?
I don't know.
Is it as professional as the 3D models?
Yeah. Here's another really great screenshot. You can tell what's happening.
Oh yeah.
I think that's a tree.
Look at that 3D model of that character in the first one.
And there's a cabin in the woods. Oh, good. 3 screenshots of nothing.
Oh, maybe that's a vast majority of the game. Maybe that's like half of the gameplay.
Alright. Let's move on to our final topic then, because I have about 24 minutes and I need to get going. And let's talk a little bit about personality when it comes to games. Because I think this is something that it kind of touches on a lot of different aspects of a title. And it's something I feel that you kind of know when it's there, and when it's not, it kind of makes your game feel a little soulless or sterile, as we've talked about.
Yeah.
So, from our last topic, when we talked about pixel art, one of the things about really good pixel style, or that pixel aesthetic, is that it definitely gives your game a sense of depth to it. You know, from like the detail of the characters, to even just like the motion and the animation.
The funny thing about the good pixel art is generally good pixel art is undetailed. Like, gradient is more detail, and when I took out the gradient, took out the detail, it looked a lot better, kind of thing. But, animations is definitely a very key to giving your game personality. Like I see a lot of these animations for a cute little slime that is bouncing up and down and shifting, and that's just so much character kind of thing. Like I see these remember seeing this one animation of this suitcase that was jumping up and down, really cute, like, and that was bubbling with character kind of thing. And your character, the character of your game doesn't have to be cute, but like, cute is kind of the easiest way to give it character kind of thing. At least when we're talking about pixel art. But you want animations to make your game feel alive, but you also want to make it have personality kind of thing. Like Disgaea really did that in their cutscenes when they swapped, but they just had like we're talking about the original Disgaea, which is they still do this in new Disgaeas, but they had a limited budget, but they took their characters and they posed them in like several different various expressionistic poses. Like one's kind of like neutral with his hands folded, his arms folded. One's where he's like grasping his chest and like looks like he's furious and about to rip somebody's arm off or something and beat him with it. One's where he's like really shocked and everything, and then they swap between these images, and it really between that and the voice acting that they have in there, where he really expresses those feelings and everything, and the story, kind of thing. Those three things meshing together like gives it so much personality, right there.
And as you were saying earlier, when it comes to UI and the UX as well, like these are elements that can add to your game. If you're designing your game, let's use Cuphead for example, because I use as part of the thumbnail. That they could have used, just like that other game, like placeholder text for how health works, or what weapon you have available. But they design a unique aesthetic for your health being like or your specials being like the various cards that pop up. Like you can tell when developers put that extra effort into their games.
Yeah, and it's not that other developers aren't putting the effort in. They're just not putting it in this location. And the sad thing is the aesthetics and personality of the game is the thing that everybody sees first.
Yeah. So
if you're not putting stuff into that, then you're kind of screwing over your game. And the thing is when a game, it doesn't matter what rest of your game is if your aesthetics are not good, because people aren't going to give your game a shot. That is a sad reality of this world, of the market right now. I seen somebody talking about this earlier about ending the arms race between good art and everything. And yeah, that would be nice, but every game developer would have to make subpar art all at the same time and just keep on doing that. And fans are going to outcry about it. Everybody's going to be pissed off about it, and every game developer in the world. And one person, I can guarantee you, at least one person, EA, somebody is going to break that. I could almost guarantee you every AAA out there is going to break that. And I'm sure a lot of indies are going to break that too, because it just, why are they going to give up their sales for the potential of maybe you getting yours when you could just, improve your aesthetics and get sales too? But at the same time, aesthetics cost money. They cost a lot of money. Art costs a lot of money. And it's just so important, and it's so critical to, if you don't have the good art, then your game isn't going to have personality either. Yeah. Unless it's a meme personality.
And one of the reasons I was thinking about this topic was from last night when we played Surviving the Aftermath. That's what it was called. The next game from, I think Paradox Interactive is publishing it. And one of the issues I have with it, just like as I saw with Surviving Mars, is that it's very hard to put into words that there's just no sense of a personality. There's no sense of, like that kind of style to this game. Like, it looks good. Like the aesthetics match. There's nothing like being bad on that front. But there's just something about that. It just doesn't seem to be popping in the same way as other city builders. Even some of the older ones have done. Like, if we talk about, and I brought Anno as a good example. When we have a game like Anno 1800, it's not just you putting down buildings and then that's it. You can actually zoom in, you can hear people talking, there's music playing. Like, there's that sense, and I think as you said, that it really requires like a lot of attention to detail in terms of how you're presenting your game. And it almost seems like one of those tasks that you're never really fully done with it.
Yeah. And you need your game world to feel alive. Like you said, when you drop, when you zoom in, you get to see and hear, more from the game kind of thing. You get that street level kind of detail. And that depth is what, like it adds nothing to the gameplay. It adds nothing to anything but the polish and feel to the game. And the polish and feel to the game and the aesthetics the graphical aesthetics are sadly the most important things in the game industry right now. Like, if you do not have those two things down, then you have basically no chance of even thinking about breaking even. Like, you can have those things right and still not break even, but like, if you don't have those things right, not breaking even is almost guaranteed.
Yep. And as we've said, I think it's something that it's more important in today's market. And to Zach's comment right there, that you really can't get by on a bad looking game these days. And when we say bad, we don't mean your game looks ugly. We mean that nothing appears to stand out when I look at the screenshot. If you remember that Idle game that was just like very basic pixel graphics, like if I put that next to something like Clicker Heroes 2 or oh no, I lost it. What was the other game? Grim Clicker as well. That those games just pop in terms of their appearance. And like, this is that great, I think, hypocrisy that great graphics don't mean great gameplay. We have seen that example many times over. But typically, like, especially when we see this from an independent space, that if a game developer or if an indie dev... Uh-oh, did my audio break? Can you still hear me?
Your audio broke in and out a few times.
I was talking about Grim Clicker, Clicker Heroes 2, there's a Dungeons and Dragons Clicker game, stuff like that. But when we look at from the independent space, that if a developer does put the time in for the aesthetics, it usually means that the gameplay is going to match, or the gameplay is going to be of similar quality.
Well, the thing is when people look at games on Steam now, like, it's gotten to a point where the market's so flooded and everything that when your average consumer that knows very little about games but plays a lot of them sees a game and the aesthetic is not great, they're going to assume that this is an asset flip or whatever else, and you're going to just lose yourselves right there. They're going to assume that you're a low quality game because you have less than great graphics. And mind you, when a lot of people say, "Oh, it doesn't matter if it has good graphics or whatnot," kind of thing. They're like, and then they right after that, you know what had really horrible graphics? Minecraft. Minecraft had really horrible graphics. I hate to tell you, Minecraft didn't have really horrible graphics. No. Minecraft had decent graphics, decent to slightly good graphics.
We've seen bad graphics, like.
Yeah, and the thing is like, even with that, Minecraft released how many years ago?
What was it, like 2009, 2010?
Yeah, and let me tell you, the Steam storefront was not flooded back then. Was the Steam marketplace even open back then? Was Steam even a thing back in that time?
To some extent, I can see some lag happening on my end. Hopefully, the stream stays. Yeah, I did. We beat down well on stream. It was all right, like in terms of like the aesthetics. Yeah.
But the thing is the market was just completely different back then, and aesthetics were nowhere near as important as they are now.
Yeah.
And if Minecraft launched today, it probably wouldn't be it would definitely not be as big as a hit as it is, but it might not even be a success if it launched today. But mind you, that it does not have bad graphics.
Yeah. It
has decent to good graphics kind of thing, somewhere in that range. Not bad. My last game had bad graphics.
I'm waiting for somebody to like a video or someone to say, your game should have strong graphics, unlike Hollow Knight that just looked okay.
Yeah.
Like, if anyone decries the graphics or the aesthetics of Hollow Knight, do not ever listen to their advice on anything design related.
Or Ori.
It's
like, Ori had alright graphics. You should have a lot better graphics than that.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, or Guacamelee. Yeah, Guacamelee looked terrible, right?
Yeah, that was bad graphics. I'm fine with playing games with bad graphics. It's like,
Oh yeah, and Rayman. Yeah, Rayman was a terrible looking game.
Yeah, maybe these games are like the worst looking of the successful games, but they're successful because they look good. And the worst of the successful is not bad graphics. That's the lowest tier of like good graphics kind of thing. That's not. So like with a lot of these people say they don't mind bad graphics. They're saying they don't mind low tier good graphics.
Yeah, they don't mind A- graphics.
Yeah. So you need to at least get A- graphics, kind of thing. Like you need to add personality and life to the game through the UI, through like zooming into the camera and you can see people walking around. You need to see like these characters animate and bounce. Whatever it is, you need to bring like life into the game. Like an idle animation can do that, but only if it's a good idle animation. Like we had some subpar idle animations for my last one, and it did something for it, but it was not enough. Nowhere near enough.
Metroid Prime looks terrible.
What looks terrible?
Metroid Prime.
Oh yeah. That was a horrible
all Nintendo games look horrible. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
We are going to get so many demods for that one.
Yeah. So many.
And like we said, like presentation really does matter in today's market. And as we've said, it's not about, like, some people will conflate presentation meaning just use Unreal. That will make your game look amazing.
You cut out there again.
Oh, no. I was going to say, just use Unreal Engine. Your game will automatically look amazing.
Yeah. They don't have any asset flips in Unreal.
Oh, of course not.
Or Unity.
Mm-hmm. And
it's not like, like that's where the main asset stores are or anything.
And this is what we talked about when it came to the art in the last section, that we've seen games that it just looks like a copy-paste, and that's it. And to Matthew's comment, how are games getting better without graphics? Again, it really has to do with the growth of the market. When we play...
you have to keep in mind that what we're saying applies to right now, like 2020, May of 2020, because May of 2021, the market's going to be vastly different.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it won't be any worse. Graphics won't be, graphical presentation, graphical aesthetics won't be any less important by then. I'm pretty positive.
Yeah. But again, technology
might be even higher.
Yeah. As technology changes and people are able to do more with these engines, it affects, again, the market around it. 30 years ago, when we were talking about, 1990, Super Mario World blowing everybody away, the game, again, if we put it in today's standards, looks horrible. The same as early 3D. I'm sure most of the young people watching this don't remember stuff like Bubsy 3D or Reboot or, again, any first-generation 3D title. But when we played those games, it blew our minds.
Yeah, I remember the original Final Fantasy VII.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when I played that, when all of us played that back in the day, all of us were like, oh my god, this is the most realistic looking thing we have ever seen in our entire lives.
It will never get any better.
And this is god tier right here, and this is the best it gets. And now we look back at it, and it's like lower than low res pixels kind of thing, or lower than low res 3D kind of thing, that is like ultra low res, and it looks pretty horrible by today's standards.
Oh yeah, 3D Castlevania. When I played Maximo on stream, again, early 3D does not hold up at all.
Yeah, but back in that marketplace, that was the way to win. Yep. If you made a 2D game back then, I'm pretty sure you would have had a very high likelihood of failing. But if you made a 3D game, you had a very high chance of succeeding. I don't actually know, but that's what I'm guessing. I'm guessing that's what the marketplace was like back then.
Yep,
the
everybody moved to 3D.
Mm-hmm.
And and things change. And you have to be aware of that in today's market. You can't, ironically, release a bad-looking game and expect people to fall in love with it.
Yeah. And you also can't release a game that is purposely bad either.
Mm-hmm.
Consumers don't care if it's on purpose or on accident, Yep. They care about it being derp.
Yeah. And
it's like, did this person accidentally, run into somebody and cause a, massive train wreck kind of thing where this one train derailed and killed millions of people or thousands of people? Or did they, fall asleep and accidentally do it? Were they, doing it on a dare because they were stupid, or were they doing it because they fell asleep at the wheel?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? It doesn't matter, because what the consumers see is a train wreck with the thousands of people dead, and they ain't touching it.
Yeah. And you really need to, again, address these issues in your game as early as possible. This is why we've seen developers who, wait as long as they can before they start working on the art of their game. And it usually just ends up not working. And the problem when it comes to presentation, as we've said, is that it is additional money and time you have to spend on your game that's not related to the gameplay. But, again, people look at the aesthetics of your game first. That is what's going to clue them in as to whether or not they even want to look at your title in the first place. And one thing I know somebody is going to say, either in the comments or watching live, what about famous games? What about something like The Binding of Isaac? Like that game didn't have, amazing look to it, but it still earned a lot of money. Like, why would just...
aesthetic to it.
Yep. But there's also, again, the fact that you can't rely, or past success gives a developer clout. Again, like Emmett McMillan is definitely the quintessential example of this. He had a Kickstarter for Binding of Isaac 4 Souls. He has one for, I think, Tapeworm right now. And they are going to succeed really well. It doesn't matter what he does, art or aesthetics-wise, because he has a name behind him. The same for developers like Jeff Vogue, Cliff Harris, major studios, etc. But if you are starting out and you don't have a name to yourself, all you have is what you can show somebody.
Yeah, and you can't compare yourself to people that have the names. You also can't compare yourself to people who, to games that released 10 years ago, or even 3 years ago, really, even 2 or 1 year ago. You got to compare yourself to games that released this year that have no name, no successful games underneath their belts or anything else. And those are going to be a lot harder to find because a lot of them are going to fail. You're going to miss 99.9% of them unless you're specifically looking very, very hard.
Yeah, or you're me who takes a lot. This is why I play, or I try to play every game that gets sent to me, because otherwise, some of these games just aren't going to do much because nobody is checking them out. And it leads again to that self-fulfilling prophecy that you release a game hoping to get more funding, nobody buys it, so you're left with a game that's bad on its own, you don't have the money to try and fix it.
And the thing is you have to keep in mind that this is all for the market in 2020. And the market in 2021 is going to be different. It won't be like night and day different, but it will be different. And, maybe some of the things we're saying now won't be true next year. And I doubt you're going to finish your game before then. You might, to the standards of today, but you probably won't. I know I won't. So I have to keep up with what's coming up. I have to basically future project. I have to look at games that are coming up. Keymailer is a great tool for that. Not everybody has access to Keymailer. Listening to, being in other developers' discords and stuff like that, that's a good place. Looking at developers that come onto this show, that's another good source. You need to be aware of what's coming up in the market. And you also have to be aware of, if they have a name behind themselves, if they have like established games behind them, if they just have a lot of very little games behind them, whatever it is. And you need to find kind of where the market is going and how you need to compensate for it. I see, I have seen a swath of Cyberpunk games coming down the path thanks to Cyberpunk 2077 is Skyrim, But then the second that Cyberpunk 2077 got delayed, like it was like somebody turned off the spigot and like basically the Cyberpunk games really just kind of halted coming out. And I'm wondering if that's because of one or two things: either all of those that were going to launch already launched, or if they're like, oh, we're going to hold our game. We're finished with it. We're not going to release it, and we're going to wait until hype around Cyberpunk really hypes up again, and then we're going to release it.
Yeah. And to Highlander's point there about the dev, again, this is the power of the name of somebody. It's why Star Citizen, developer that was named Chris Roberts, that I never played a Wing Commander game in my life, but I know his name commands respect in that area. It's the same as Miyazaki of From Software, that when you hear his name and Dark Souls, you're going to throw money at that if you're a fan. The same as Shigeru Miyamoto.
Yeah, him too.
Yoko, what was his name? The guy from Nier Automata.
I don't remember his name.
Hideo Kojima, there's a really good example.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what game he makes, it's still going to be a bestseller when it comes out.
Yep. What was the guy with Mighty Number 9?
Inafune, I think it's the last name.
Some with a K. It's not Kisuke, is it? Something.
See. I used to know the designer of Sonic, Yuji Naka. Let's see, Kenji Inafune, I think.
Kenji Inafune.
Yeah.
Like Mighty Number 9, so did very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a train wreck. But I can guarantee you, he does another game, it's also going to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Despite how much of a train wreck Mighty Number 9 was.
Yeah. And again,
his name has that much.
And you need something to convince people to play your game. You either need a name behind it, or you need a strong presentation. You have to prove to people that you're worth them giving your money to them.
And you could always have you could always pay Norman Reedus to come in onto your game.
Mm-hmm.
Get that name behind it.
And in some cases, you have somebody like Lucas Pope, who I think he did Papers, Please, and I know he definitely did Return of the Obra Dinn. Like, his game has both his name behind it and that very unique look to it. Something that you look at his game on Steam, and there's nothing else like it.
Mm-hmm.
Same goes for World of Horror. Like, I have no idea who the developer of World of Horror is, but you look at one screenshot of that game, and you know there's something very interesting going on.
Yeah. And the thing is you look at what's the name of the developer, the one with all the artist game?
Lazy Bear?
Yeah, Lazy Bear. You look at Lazy Bear games, like, they're wildly successful because they have like one of the most amazing pixel art aesthetics ever. But their gameplay's pretty flat and pretty grindy.
They're
and
mobile-ish in terms of its design.
Yeah, they really lack in that kind of thing. And that's the kind of thing about this market, is if you have the aesthetics, you are way more likely to succeed. But if you don't have the aesthetics, you're practically guaranteed to fail. But you could have like mediocre to subpar in everything else but the graphics and still succeed very, very wildly, because Lazy Bear does that all day and night. Mm-hmm. And now they have a name for themselves, and they can do it even more all day and night.
Yep. And the problem, of course, is that, as we've said, it takes a lot of time and money to get your presentation on point. When we say on point, we're talking, Cuphead, Hollow Knight, Ori levels. Those horrible looking games we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, yeah. Those are like the most horrible looking games there are. They don't get any worse looking than those, right?
To Matthew's comment, I know he made Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. I think this was for GameCube or Wii, and that's the last thing I know of. But I do have to get running. Unfortunately, I have some business I need to take care of in 20 minutes. I need to get ready for it. Oh, thank you, Worm. And thank you for joining. And be sure to check out our Discord as well, because we hang out there and chat design. But
yeah, check out my Discord and his Discord. They should both be down in the description.
Oh, yes. Let me see. Anything else here? Oh, yeah, I think I may have to... Oh, I think I didn't take the right one. Let's see.
And
No, I did not. I'll get that. For those of you watching this recorded, I'll have things updated correctly when this goes up there.
Is my Discord link not up there?
No, I didn't. I put the standard template. I'll get that up for the recorded version, though, for sure.
Well, if you join Josh's Discord, then I'll be in there. You can hit me up. Just send me a DM. Same name, Sharky.
But here's my final comment, and I'll throw over to you, Shark. So, presentation, like we said, it has a lot to do with UI and UX design. And it's one of those things that, as the consumer, most consumers aren't going to praise you for good UI and good UX. It's, again, one of those things that it's, if you do it right, nobody complains. You do it wrong, everybody complains.
Even if you do it right, some people complain.
Oh, yeah. People complain no matter what.
I had people complaining about, the UI in Chromatia,
being too simple.
And I was like, yeah, it's because it's too basic. It's like, there's almost 100% of the depth of like a Disgaea game here. Not quite that, but getting up there. Certainly more than your normal tactical RPGs. We just really did the UI really, really well and really, really simplified it.
You did it so well, it was bad.
Yeah,
that's so well. Extreme.
Yeah, exactly. It was bad to them because they didn't see the depth kind of thing. It needs to be overly complex for them to see the depth. That's a lot of the YouTubers.
That's a topic right there we don't have the time to get into tonight. So, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap it up for our show?
Not really. One thing I did want to say though is joining my Discord has another benefit to I try to help other developers there. Several of the art that we looked at today in the first segment was from fellow game developers that I was helping, that I've been trying to help out.
And as always, I look at more games, and I'm always having to check out indie titles, and I'm even doing more in terms of sponsor analysis pieces as well. I will be streaming later. I have no idea what I'm going to be streaming yet. But to wrap things up, thank you everybody for tuning in. We will be back next Sunday around 4 p.m. EDT for our weekly show. I'll be back later tonight for our regular game streaming, and check out the channel for daily videos and discussions on design. You can follow me on Twitter at GWBeister, and again, as we said, the Discord and Patreon is linked down below. So, where can people find you, Shark?
You can find me on Twitter at Nexus Games INC1, which will, when in post in the recorded, will be down in the description, as well as Discord, which I don't have one of the pretty Discord links, so you'll have to wait for the description for that one, or for DM me in Josh's Discord, which I invite anybody to DM me at any time, basically. And because I like helping out other developers,
All right.
I also like promoting my game.
All right, so with that said, once again, thank you for tuning in. Come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where some of the art and science of games. Hopefully I'll have that book reveal in the coming days for you guys. But until next time, have a great rest of your Sunday.
See you.